Hey there.
Hello.
I just realized that there's a note. Working session top and break, and the time is APAC.
Yes,
Am I on the correct time? Is the question.
you are. Yes.
Oh, good. All right.
I don't know why it says break. Uh,
I think the notion was.
oh no.
Oh,
Oh
I was
yeah.
going to update that. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. G'day,
Yes.
Jeff.
Hey,
I
I don't
hope you're
see.
going okay after the insanity of the last month.
Yeah. Um, I don't see myself. Is my right? Is the correct camera on for me?
It's in front of your face, so
Okay, good.
presumably that's correct. Could hide myself view so I don't have to look at me.
It's breaking.
Hmm. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm sad because this is actually scheduled on top of another OpenSSF meeting, and so
Oh no.
it's just you can't win sometimes.
Yeah, we did a survey for the APAC time, and it changes a lot because of daylight savings, because we move in opposite directions. And so we did the survey for both before and after daylight savings. And
Hmm.
then this one ended up here.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't. So I don't mind it being an hour later, to be honest.
Yeah.
An
Well,
hour earlier is not as great, but
I think all the
yeah.
East Coast people were like trying to vote on this one, pushing you earlier, Caleb.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm on the U.S. East Coast, and the problem for me is actually if you move it an hour earlier or later, then you hit a different meeting.
Right.
You can't win.
I can't win.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would need to be 2 hours later.
Yeah,
Which,
because 1 hour later there's a scorecards meeting, and an
yeah.
hour earlier is a governance board thing. So,
Oh
or is
no.
it the is it governance or is that marketing? I forget. Okay. Anyway, um, yeah, again, can't win.
Yeah.
Added a couple of agenda items. Hopefully in the right places, I think.
Yeah, so I managed to go off on vacation, and I'm still trying to recover. If that makes any sense. So if for nothing else, if I may ask for a brief update of where we are
Yes.
on the update. Um, I'm happy to help where needed. I'm delighted if things are ongoing and you don't need, because I've got 3,000. I'm trying to be helpful and support other folks, but if you don't need help, there are other folks who do. So
Yeah, we'll do that first.
okay, so all right, so this is it's an update really on the list, right? Update
Yep.
on update.
Well, yeah,
How's
I
its
mean,
current status?
the schedule updated is actually, I'll talk about it now. So let's talk about that now. No new faces, looks like. Thank you, David and Caleb. I'm going to update the table. So if you're in the group, I don't think I'll present, but if you're in the doc, there's a table further up on work group working session tracking table.
Mhm.
So this was our proposed timeline for getting the updated list updated, I guess.
Oh, wait. Where's the, I see the document, but I'm looking for the
Scroll up a little bit. There's a section called Work Group Working Session Tracking Table.
tracking.
Oh yeah,
Tracking. I'm just going to look for a tracking table.
it's
All right. And then if
it's
I
the
go
only
up,
table above the.
oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah,
So
I did see that, but okay. So there's a voting and discussion.
yeah, so I'm updating this right now. We're pushing
Okay.
back one meeting.
Okay.
So let
Where's this
me,
updated sheet? Is this something that I or other people you want comments on?
Is this
yes.
the email related to the email that you sent to the mailing list and posted
Yes.
into the Slack? Yeah.
Okay.
So after 323 is going to be 4-6. So let me put that there. So this would be 4-6. I guess this would be an APAC time. Okay, so as an update, we did 2 working sessions, the last 2 meetings.
Okay.
We finished polishing our updated list with proposals and everything. And our intention was to get a RFC out last meeting. However, we were unable to accomplish that in the last meeting. There was a little bit of polishing of the spreadsheet that I needed to do before the RFC, and then I wrote up the RFC text, and Amir and I met earlier this week just to make sure we were both on the same page. And so what we wanted to have was a 4-week time period for people to respond to the RFC. So since I only got that out this week, we'll then push everything back 1 meeting. We'll have a normal meeting this week and for the next meeting, and begin voting discussion on 3.9 and do that on 3.9 and 323.
Okay. So I have a link, securing critical projects working group, list of projects identified as critical, Google Doc ending in XTDM, all caps. Is that the current? This looks suspiciously like our old one.
Click on this RFC sent out, ideas for further reach. So I guess kind of moving on to the next
Yeah,
topic.
that's the link at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so I sent out the RFC only to this working group on the mailing list and to Slack. That contains the link to the correct sheet.
Yes, that's the one I followed.
Okay, so the first 2 tabs, or the RFC should
XTDM.
contain the instructions. You know, the first 2 tabs show what we're asking people to do. Comment on any line on the current list to say, like, if you think it should be removed, and comment on any line on the proposed lists for your reasoning why it should be added or removed. Do you all see that?
Yes, I'm looking at that list right now. It as I said, it's one where the name, I'm ignoring the GID. The name ends in XTDM/edit, and you know, it begins with the AMP project and ends with log4j, I believe.
Yep, that looks right. So question for you all is, I wanted to send this out more widely. Any suggestions there? I asked operations if we could send this to the announce list, though I don't know if that's appropriate.
That seems like a lot of folks.
But I mean, we do want everybody to feel included in the decision-making process, even if they can't attend our meetings where we're doing the consensus discussion.
Okay, I see that.
So I don't know what other channels we should try to use for that.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not that just anybody can edit. Anyone can make a comment, but that's not the same as an actual edit. So
Yeah, so we want people to comment. Then when the working group meets to do the consensus discussions, we will take people's comments into account with our discussion.
gotcha.
Oh, it's only on comment only. I think that that's much less problematic. I was like imagining that everyone would be updating it.
That's why I checked that first.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes in that, if that's the case, I think apart from creating work for whoever's going to have to read all the comments, more broadly sharing it is not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that basically this group will walk through the comments and then adjudicate, and if they don't agree with the comment, that's okay, but at least it was considered.
Exactly.
All right, and that discusses removal. Addition also?
Yeah, so there should be, the RFC should say there's 2 actions to take. Look at the first tab for removal, second tab for additions.
And because it's a spreadsheet, the tabs are at the bottom.
Of course. Okay, 1 All righty. And presumably they can add some more.
No, we're not accepting project.
Okay.
Consider a new project consideration. So that'll be after we do 1-1, we'll make a call for submissions for 1-2, and then we can repeat the process.
Got it. I am amused that you're including Debian, Ubuntu, CentOS.
These are things people suggested. So I'm not taking, we're not making any judgments now.
Okay.
When we made the last release, we got feedback through issues, we got feedback directly, we got feedback in these meetings. So we tried to incorporate all that, all those suggestions in the candidates, and not do any.
Yeah. And CentOS in some ways has really changed too, so I'm not sure that that's the right. But anyway, I see what you're doing. You're just saying, hey, these are things that people suggested. That doesn't mean that they'll be necessarily accepted. It's just we want to get everybody's feedback on them. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Do you think we've got enough people already in terms of feedback, or is that?
No, I mean, we don't have very many comments. I don't think we have any comments. So, yeah, we want people to, again, I don't know, like I would much rather have people show up at the meeting, but if they can't, I don't want anybody to feel excluded.
Yeah. Okay, this is my apologies, because of course I've been gone on vacation for a bit. We had talked about adding columns for particular reviewers so they could quickly make comments asynchronously and then review that. Whereas it looks like there's just a single column at this point, which means that people are going to be stomping on each other possibly. Do we want to add columns for individuals or not?
I don't think so. I think anybody can comment on the one column, and then we can see all the comments at once.
Okay. All right. Let me. Oh, this is interesting. You have to click on it. It's just a little shade there. Got it. Okay.
Usually there's a way to view all the comments and step through them. I cannot see that in this. I haven't played with comments in Google Sheets.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the case for comments in Google Sheets. That's I think that was one of the reasons why we originally talked about columns, so that it would be easier to see the comments.
We did a little test, and it looks like there's only one comment thread per cell. So hopefully, everybody comments on that same cell. That's what we told them to do.
you can open up all the comments. There's a little button at the top.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, and there's a link under one comment that says "Open up all comments." So you can do that, but you can also change it from all sheets to current sheet as well. And it
okay. How's this?
Yeah,
I'm going to add an example reply, and then I'm going to open up all the comments. Yeah, thank you. There's the magic. Okay. Yeah, I've used Google Sheets. I've used comments on other programs. Just this particular this particular combination I haven't. Thank you. Perfect. All right, well, I don't know if it's perfect, but at least it works.
Yes.
Yeah, adequate.
Adequate. Yeah, I'm not so sure I'm excited, but you know what? I think it gets the job done, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Very good. All righty.
So
So
any
we don't
thoughts?
have many comments, I take it.
Yeah, we don't have any. Which is telling me that my current email and Slack post is not enough. Or people just are lying when they say they care about being considered. They don't actually want to go and look through all these projects.
Well, you know what? It was a lot of work to come up with this initial list. So I totally get some of the questions, some of the issues. I guess one of the challenges here is, what's critical. For some of these, for the most part, I would think the biggest concern would be subversion. Like, it's absolutely true that Bash has been involved in a remote code execution vulnerability. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. It's a funny story involving shell shock. Are you familiar with this tale of woe?
No, I probably am, but I forgot.
Okay, shell shock. Basically, okay, Bash supports shell functions definitions.
Yep.
Okay, which is not unusual. In fact, it's in the POSIX spec. What's not in the POSIX spec is what happens when a shell calls a shell, and Bash store actually passes on functions to other environments, which is cool. The way they did use environment variables, however, it basically trusted environment variables. And it turns out there are cases where, when an attacker shows up on a website, they can control certain variables.
Oh.
And the combination meant that you had a remote code execution through a Bash capability. However, most of the times, if Bash is vulnerable, you can have a mistake, but usually Bash isn't processing untrusted code. You know what? No, I'm gonna take that back though. It certainly can sometimes. So, yeah, never mind. So I think I would certainly worry if Bash is subverted, but I'd also worry just if there's a vulnerability and it's processing data. So I'm talking myself into just normal inclusion. Okay, but this is the kind of thinking, maybe somebody should try to write down very briefly, include because or don't include because.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the wider RFC, we can, people can make their arguments if it for whatever reason they see fit. But I think with the working group consensus discussions, we're going to have the our kind of guidelines of things that reasons that make something more critical or not, and try to agree on that.
All right. So I presume what we're going to do is we're going to encourage people to make comments on these two tabs. Let's see, version 1.1 set on removal, version 1.1 candidates. These are new ones, right?
Right.
And so those two tabs. So
yes.
Okay, and that's indeed what you're. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. So I think we just need to further reach.
Yeah.
I think that, like, I was just thinking about the way that I think that's very true. Most people have an opinion maybe about a small subset of the entire list. So if you have a broader reach, perhaps you'll get an opinion about most things.
Yep. So, I guess my one comment would be, if you're going to send this out more broadly, Jeff, so you don't, you don't have to comment on everything. In fact, just comment on the ones you have a strong view upon.
Okay. Well, let's
And that way, and that way, people won't feel because I think when I first looked at me, I've looked at this list many times before, and
uh-huh,
it was a little overwhelming the first time we looked at it.
uh-huh, uh-huh. Let's take a look at
But yeah, let's get the broader viewpoints.
let me share the copy I have real quick. Can you see my window?
I can. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I sent out.
Okay. Who'd you send this to?
So I sent this to our
Working group list.
working group list
Okay.
here. Yeah. And then I sent it to Slack as well.
Got it. And you didn't get much response.
Not yet. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go back here. So maybe under should just at the end say, you don't need to add it on all, or
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Well, I'm only seeing the right edge of it. I'm not sure what's going on here. I see half of
likewise.
the.
Is that working?
Not in the way I would like. Yeah. There's something. I'm only getting half the window.
Zoom is drunk.
Can you zoom? Yeah. Can you expand the right hand edge?
I clicked stop,
just-
and now it seems to be
That's
locked up.
hilarious. It's just
Okay.
not.
It's not cooperating.
No.
That
It's
is so
really fun.
strange.
No, now my Zoom is totally locked out. I can
Oh.
still hear you though.
All righty. But you can't see my lovely face, which is just as well because I didn't turn on my video. Yeah. So since I can't see your screen, but you know what? This is a Google Doc, right?
Yeah.
If you put in the chat where that Google Doc is, I could show up and see it.
The only thing is, I don't think I can get to chat because again,
Oh yes.
The Zoom is locked.
my Zoom is
All right,
totally
well,
locked. I
Okay.
don't even think-
Are we stuck with you telling me the crazy number?
He just has to plug it into a URL shortener.
Oh, this is where maybe an email.
What's your email?
Dwheeler at linuxfoundation.org. Dwheeler, DWHEELER at linuxfoundation.org.
Okay. So I shared with you.
All right, that is, and I got it. All right,
Okay,
technology,
great.
sort of. All righty. So let me switch to suggest. I'm going to be putting suggesting mode. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, so I would say something like, please comment on projects in either tab. Where you have information to share. You have justification, one way or the other, to add or remove. Well, I mean, make this a please comment on projects in either tab. Don't feel obligated to comment on all of them. Something simple like that.
Cool. Yeah, sounds great.
You know, I'm hoping that that addition will mean people won't
Yeah,
won't say no just because
they don't have a
they
comment for every line.
yeah, really, because
Yeah, of
frankly, I wouldn't expect someone to have a comment on every
course.
line.
Yeah. Okay. And any ideas for if we should try to send this on another mailing list or?
I think you want a broader call. I don't know what the right way to do that broader call is.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess, I mean, do we want to send it out? Let's see who, I mean, we could try to send it out to everybody who's working on OpenSSF. That seems a little extreme.
Mhm.
Um, which working groups would be most related? I mean, in some sense, I guess you could say all of them.
Yeah, I was gonna just like in some respect, I could just say like you could send it to everyone at the OpenSSF. But
Yeah,
like
that's pretty. That's that. I hmm. I'm
the two,
struggling because I don't want to spam, but on the other hand, I did see the point.
the two that I think are somewhat closely related are the vulnerabilities group, working group,
Yep.
and actually maybe that's the only one. Um, so even end users identifying security. No, it's identifying security threats is one. End users is probably possibly another one. I was feeling like securing software repos is possibly, but then you might get
Yeah.
a different set of opinions as well. So, but
Well, I mean that's actually the point, though, right?
yeah. Well,
You know,
that's true. Yeah, fair point.
I mean the software repos, folks. You're only going to get feedback from the folks who are in that group.
Mm,
And I think that it tends, at least last I checked, they tend to be dominated more by the language level and not the system level and not the container level.
mm.
But you'll still get a viewpoint.
I think the value of including that is that you may get more breadth across different language projects,
Right. Right. I mean,
rather
the only
than
real problem
yeah.
will be that they'll probably complain that, wait a minute, why are we not adding some new ones here?
That's
So,
probably that would be my expectation as well. And it will be like top end projects or like some personal opinion about some from that ecosystem that they're responsible for. So,
right.
but that's okay. I mean, this is a best effort list,
Yeah.
not a comprehensive list. So,
Yeah. And I guess the reason you've frozen it for the new ones for the moment is so you can get it done within your lifetime, is, I presume, the reason.
that's a reason for Jeff. I guess that is the case.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm
you're
here now.
back. Your
Yeah,
camera.
there we go.
What?
Okay.
Woohoo.
Yeah, if people keep suggesting, then they it just goes on forever. So we have to have iterations and rounds.
Okay. All right. So this is for this run, and this is for the 1-1. Obviously, there will be some opportunity in the future. I don't know if that should be. I don't know if you want that in that text as well.
I did include that, yeah.
Yes, you did. You did.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, I'm just kind of thinking through. Great.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason why you can't send that out to those other working groups. I mean, yeah, on the one hand, there's a risk of it looking like spam, but I think an OpenSSF project asking for help from an OpenSSF project is fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Do
Okay.
we have a decision on the working groups? I dropped off, came back.
I don't know if we have a decision,
Okay.
but let's see here. So let's see here. I'm going to go back to the RFC. Which working groups are related? Okay. And should be emailed, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want to know. Everybody's related. Oh, wait. I got to send an email. All right. I heard securing software repositories, particularly that's because we argued about it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see here. And I think the vulnerability disclosures, because they know where the vulnerabilities keep getting reported.
Okay.
fact, I'm going to list them first. Not because, I mean, they're focused more on process, but we're hoping that they know where the bodies keep getting buried. I mean, you've done it to yourself, right? Besides our own, right? Maybe better. Okay, which OpenSSF working groups are related should be emailed. Vulnerability, securing critical projects. Oh, so I'm sorry, securing critical projects is this. I think we said end users. I mean, frankly, that's probably the best, one of the best ones. I mean, you could certainly make a case for any of these.
My only worry is that if people are on a lot of these, they're going to get the same mail a bunch of times versus if we if we petition for announce. But
well,
I don't know. You think announce is too wide?
Are you on these groups, by the way?
No, not exactly. So
okay.
I can,
yeah, you know what I would suggest? Join each of them at least for a bit, and then send a single message out to those multiple lists.
Oh, to all three.
I think if it's a single email and sent out to all three groups.
Yeah. Okay.
Then at least there's a chance it might be smart and do it only once.
Yes.
Because it'll be sent out with all the same message ID stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That sounds good.
There's at least a chance of reducing it.
Yeah.
Best to send out simultaneously. So email, so to reduce, so that duplicates might get removed. I don't know if the sending software removes, because this actually goes through our list org. If it doesn't, then email clients that receive it might be smart enough to figure out the remove. Otherwise, oh well.
Okay. Sounds good. Should we move on, or you think these three are enough, I guess? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, current status, we did that earlier. So yeah, I want to do some project updates. So for All-Star, I was looking at the tax documentation. It looks like they have a lot more documentation than they used to have, which is great, on processes and things like that. So it looks like if you click the link there to the TAC working group abilities, under technical infrastructure, it says working groups are free to use whatever resources they can find or solicit help from member organizations or to request funding from the OpenSSF governing board through the TAC. For All-Star, I would like to request funding for technical infrastructure. And so All-Star is part of this working group. So this working group would be requesting would be petitioning the TAC on behalf of the project.
Okay. Formally, just so you know, and tell me if you already know this, because I don't know if you do. Formally, only the governing board can approve funding, but the reality is the governing board immediately, when somebody says, "Hey, money," they immediately turn around and say, "Okay, great, but TAC, what do you think?"
Yeah. It says here you request funding from the governing board through the TAC.
The TAC. Yep. But the reason that's worded that way is because the governing board has the power of the purse, but they always want to make sure that it makes some sense, and so they ask the TAC for review.
Yeah.
So
there's an example there that somebody else, I think, did. So we would want to do something similar to that.
Yep.
And I wanted to, I have some text I wrote up.
Oh, okay.
I'll just paste it here instead of doing another doc or
Okay.
something like
So
that.
the update contributor guidance.
No, this isn't a different thing. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting all my indentation
Okay.
off
I
here.
looked at that indentation and I interpreted it badly.
Let's see. So it look like this. See if that comes through. So essentially, we'd basically say the Securing Critical Projects Working Group is requesting funding on behalf of All-Star. What the app
Is this
is?
from issue 132?
No.
No. Okay. This is just okay. Its own thing. I'm going to
Yeah.
delete the blank lines just so it's
It's gonna.
straightforward. Okay.
So I gave some kind of background of the project and that it's been working on and that people are using it. And that essentially that we were just requesting some funding there. So the background here is that All-Star has some infrastructure currently, but it's not,
okay.
There's some stipulations attached to it, which make it not very neutral. So I'd like to have infrastructure without those stipulations.
Okay, tell me if you can't really talk about the stipulations now, but I mean, sometimes the stipulations are just like things like please don't run malware on my on my application, or don't run and do it
Yeah.
and don't do crypto coin mining.
Yes.
I presume so. Everybody has some stipulations.
Yeah,
So
that would be fine. The
yeah,
stipulation is the access to the infrastructure. So the donation we have here is that they must retain access to the
what do
app.
they mean by access?
Just ability to read the data essentially, or to access the secrets.
Oh,
The
okay.
app stores.
I'm sorry?
The secrets for the app that allows it to talk to GitHub, the data, and just basically full access to the infrastructure.
Okay. All right. And what's I mean, if it's just gathering public data, that's not an
It's not
issue.
gathering public data. It's gathering,
Okay.
it has private access to people who have installed the app and private data. Like,
oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So when I say instance run by OpenSSF, that should mean the maintainers of the project, not also the infrastructure providers.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the reality is any infrastructure provider, if they want to, can obviously get access to whatever you're running. You have to trust them to some extent.
That's true. I agree with you there, but
okay. So what I'm trying to figure out is what's special here.
But this is not.
Okay, I think the reason I'm not really trying to push back exactly. I'm trying to anticipate the questions the TAC's going to have.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't want to imply that, hey, you're not grateful for the gift. You are.
Yes.
But on the other hand, the particular stipulation is you're uncomfortable with.
Yes.
And okay, I think basically the challenge is I mean, this amount is not much in the grand scheme of things. If you can make it clear why it's needed, they're probably going to say great, and TAC will, governing board will. In fact, the governing board actually has approved some funding ahead of time for some infrastructure. So if that fits within a pre-approved amount, it might even be really easy to do this. However, the TAC is going to immediately ask the questions that I'm asking.
Stipulations. Okay. Yeah, I didn't.
What exactly are those stipulations? And why are they a problem? Because every cloud provider has stipulations, and in fact, every service has stipulations. So, your DNS provider will mandate certain kinds of content not be allowed. Whether or not they should, that's another question, but they do. So it's just, you need to make it clear why, or which stipulations are you're uncomfortable with and why. And I bet once you do that, you're basically making an argument for money when things are already getting paid for. So
Right,
clearly
right.
there's a problem. What's the problem?
Yeah.
And I think you only need a sentence or two to resolve that. If you're not comfortable making that public, by the way, the details of it, feel free to make that in a private communication. We try not to do that. We'd much rather work
Yeah.
in the open.
I think this is public. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Yeah, we'd much rather. There are some times when you really can't, particularly if it involves PII. But
so current infrastructure is partly funded with stipulations to retain access to infrastructure. All-star.
What does that mean? Yeah.
All-star.
Access.
All-star is granted. Elevated.
Because that includes including secrets maintained by it.
Yeah.
Including secrets maintained by All-Star.
Access. All-Star is granted elevated permissions and data access by the users installed on the GitHub organizations. Okay. Neutral infrastructure.
Now when you say a community-run app instance, where would it go? Do you think it would still go on Google Cloud Platform or somewhere else?
Wherever the credits or or our money works that is granted by the funding. Yeah, I'm flexible here.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's say that it still ran on Google Cloud Platform, or moved it to Azure or AWS. I mean, those are the most likely.
Yeah.
Although I can see Lenovo or something else. Wouldn't they all have the same privileges? What's different?
Not the privileges that no. I mean, in your suggestion that in the back end, they could still get whatever you want, but like
right.
Cloud infrastructure providers make some kind of promise that like we're not going to go in and read your data, right?
Okay, so in a way so it's not just granted all elevated privileges in ways that aren't typically granted for running. Is that your point?
No. The point is the stipulation of retaining access is not just the fact that it's running on their cloud. It's that it's somebody saying they need administrator privileges for the whole infrastructure for the project.
That is, they must have administrative access.
Yes.
To the instance with the ability to read and use.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we're concerned that, and we want to their, and we want to limit those who, we don't want. I don't know. Maybe that's obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I would have to look at the. This may be an offline conversation because I'm just struggling to see if they're running it on their cloud, they already have access. So what's the
David? I mean, people they promise like they're, you know what I mean? Like
I hear it.
Yeah, I
Make
mean, I know the
promises.
skeptic is like, yeah, okay, people, if you're running on a cloud, they have access, but I'm not talking about that. I'm taking at face value, there's running it on a project that is, you're the only one on the list of access to it and not.
We prefer to run in a situation where the provider promises to not access this sensitive data.
Yeah, but I mean, that's by default. Like,
I don't know.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I can wordsmith this, or
Yeah, you see,
to
yeah.
guess like what the TAC's going to ask, and
Right.
I would also show up to the TAC meeting. But in general, does this seem correct for the working group to go ahead and
Yeah.
request
Oh,
funding?
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely. I
great.
mean, you can always make a request. You can always ask. They can always say yes or no.
Well, I mean, I
The re-
can't. I'm the chair, but we're the working group, so I'm asking you all as the working group.
oh, yes. Okay. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's entirely appropriate.
Okay.
And in
Thank
fact,
you.
it sounds like in the end this is going to be fine. But I just anticipate the tax going to ask.
Yeah,
It's really not
absolutely.
even so much the money, although we do want to be wise about spending money.
Yeah.
But we also just want to make sure that we set good precedences.
Mhm.
So before we spend money, we want to know why the money should be spent.
Yeah, absolutely.
I suspect in the end, once this is well understood, it'll be perfectly reasonable, but we just want to make sure that it is.
Thank you. Okay.
And in the end, of course, obviously the TAC and governing board can do whatever they decide to do.
Yes, yes. Okay, so moving on, another All-Star update contributor ladder PR is out. And I think you wanted to talk about that also, Caleb. If we could, I don't know if we have a general contributor ladder for a recommendation for the foundation. Maybe we can adopt this for that.
We have a ladder for projects, but this is for individuals, right?
Yeah, so for in every project, you want to have a contributor ladder that shows how community members are, what the expectations are for who's going to be a maintainer, who's going to be a leader, that kind of stuff. So I think it's always good to have that transparent and written down for these code-based projects where people contribute to.
Yeah, I have a contributor specifically on criticality score who has asked, and I'd like to have an answer around what I should use here. Unfortunately, like I'm basically the only maintainer of that project, and so making a unilateral contributor ladder decision didn't seem appropriate. So that's partly why I'm bringing that up here as well. Like I can wait until the all-star one has been agreed upon and suggest that for the criticality score repo, or we may want to raise this more broadly across the OpenSSF of having like a template or like a default contributor ladder available for that's for projects, so that we can give contributors who are working on the code and the repos some sort of sense around how their contributions may affect their ability to be like a member of the project. I think it may encourage people who are unsure about how their investment in time would be rewarded, I suppose. Although being a maintainer is not necessarily a reward in all that sense, but
yeah,
you give it more responsibility. But yeah,
I don't know of any reason that any one part of the OpenSSF can't set those up. I think it's perfectly plausible to say, hey, maybe we ought to do this more broadly. But you can start with it in one place and go on. Quick note on the code of conduct. The OpenSSF has its own. I would suggest just linking to that instead of trying to. I mean, it's more or less the same, but.
I thought I cut and pasted the OpenSSF one for mine.
Oh, you did? Okay. Did this one have the OpenSSF URL? email address?
Yeah, I went and changed a bunch of them, and I hopefully that landed in. Yeah, because there's a.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay, so it is. Okay, it is from there. I thought this was just the. Okay. All right. So maybe, or maybe just maybe add a link. Maybe add at the end a link to the OpenSSF COC.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right, I thought you just copied it from the original, in which case the email addresses would be there would be no proper email addresses. So okay, very good.
Yeah. So in terms of how I should handle this for criticality score, is it worth waiting for Jeff's PR to be accepted, or?
Well, mine is basically from a proposal that I made months ago when we had some community discussion on. So I would say it's pretty, it's given a once over by a couple, at least two different communities projects in the OpenSSF.
Okay.
So it's had some eyes on it. I mostly wanted Kara to kind of wordsmith it, or I'm adding her as a maintainer, so I wanted her to acknowledge that as well on the review before I merge it here. So I'm ready to merge mine. If you want to copy it and merge one, I think that's fine. And yeah, like as David said, I think we any kind of template or recommendation would be just that, a recommendation or a starting point that any project should be able to tweak this for the needs of their own project. But
Yeah,
having something to copy would be nice.
Yeah, any project, if they've decided that there's a particular way they want to run, generally we're fine as long as it's, it's productive. There's not like clear, violations of antitrust or code of conduct or something. Which I mean, I can't say literally everything you can do anything because it's not true, but it's hard to imagine you actually proposing something insane.
Yeah.
So,
but would there be a repo that we would check this in as like, here's a template? I mean, maybe not the template repo because people always copy that to start like a working group or something, but I don't know if it would be the TAC because maybe they don't have anything or have an interest in this.
The TAC already has guidelines for how to label projects.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be insane for them to also declare, here's how we expect contribution guidelines to run. I mean, I would say, hey, start with this and say, hey, TAC, this is what we're doing for now. We might want to later on propose this up as guidelines across the OpenSSF.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just email them that and then give them a heads up, and then you could say, hey, we tried it out, we think it works, and we raise it up.
Sounds good.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah, I agree, Caleb. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Sorry, I just was distracted and missed that exactly. But
no, just saying, we'll both merge these. You merge one, and then once we have both of our projects using it, then we can say, hey, this is working for us at a later date.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, in fact, I would go merge it in, tell the TAC this is what we're doing, and later on, and presuming that it works for us, we'll tweak it a little bit, and then we may propose it up, for a broader consensus. And that way, you stuck the idea in their ear.
It's for reference as well. The Six Door project has a ladder as well, so I think you pointed me to that, Jeff. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I don't think anybody in the TAC would be surprised if you have a ladder, be it formal or informal. But yeah, I think I love the idea of trying something out in a particular project. It works, you tweak it, and then you raise it up higher and higher. I think that's how a lot of good work gets done.
And it's a good way to adopt things like from the grassroots rather than having it being mandated. Yeah.
Right. I think usually the grassroots is the better. I mean, I'm sure you can find cases where it's not, but yeah, the advantage of grassroots is that you then tried it out and you decided whether or not it worked before you tried it on anybody else. And you learn so much by doing. Oh, we're running out of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I only
Cool.
have a really short update on
Mhm.
package analysis, and it's just worth some context. Worth providing that our team at Google have been talking to Checkmarks, and we're collaborating there. If you've been bothering to look at the issues on the repo, on the GitHub repo, you might have seen a few coming from them. So they are looking to contribute some analysis features, particularly around HTTPS unwrapping initially, and we're also collaborating on how to share publicly detections on malicious packages. So that will so part of the package analysis project, we'd like to be consuming that data and producing like public detections from it. That I say we as in Google, and would like to encourage other for-profit or non-profit companies who are doing the same sort of work to be also publishing their work publicly, because that helps. I think in open source world, having open source data is kind of a good idea. It also means that people can build tooling around it, and repos can consume it, and all those sorts of things. So that's another aspect to this work that we're talking to them about. Hopefully, we will see some results from that within the next quarter or so. So, and I probably will have to come back and talk to the OpenSSF about how we make a repo well, considering using OSV to do that and putting that in a repo. So we'd have to come back and talk about how that might function with the OpenSSF. So that's basically the update I've got at the moment. It's all very new news. There's not heaps of investment in that space. But
Awesome.
yeah, super excited.
Yep. I just heard a presentation from Checkmarks about their efforts to detect malicious code. So awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks you all for joining. We'll have another regular meeting next time, and then we'll begin the consensus in 4 weeks.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Take care.
All right. Nice to see you
Thank
all.
you.
Bye.
See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.